Hey all, it's Natalie for a cherry on top today, and it's time for the September design team hop, and our theme is phrases and words. I am using the cherry box, the fall cherry box, and it is full of 49 Market vintage orchard and other fun goodies. I have decided to pair it with these painter sign stamps by Tim Holtz. I think that they go really well with these chipboard words that I've chosen that you see here on the right. And I'm scrapping some family portraits that we got taken last fall. So I decided to pick an adjective from the chipboard words packet, and I'm going to stamp my own word with the painter's sign stamps and heat emboss it on this solid background paper that also came from the box. So I wrote down my phrases so I didn't spell anything wrong. And I'm using my powder tool to make sure that the page is nice and not staticky or full of anything else. And then I am doing my words, I'm stamping them individually, one at a time, because I've just learned the hard way that that's just what I need to do to make it look good, to get the right spacing in between the letters. I did put a little, when I laid everything out to see if that it looked good, I put a little pencil mark on the corner of where I wanted each letter to start or each word to start. And that was a really good idea because it will be covered up by the embossing powder. It won't show, but it really allowed me to not have to pile everything back on the page and make sure of my spacing. So that worked out. So I am heat setting this first one. And I just matched some colors that I already had in my stash. So I picked like this lovely like dark red color to go with the red one. I had a brown one to go with the brown color. And then the green one I didn't have. It's like a green apple color. I didn't have a color to match that, but I went with an olive green and they coordinated really well. So here I'm going with the word love and the Turkish coffee, dark brown embossing powder. And those two were from Wow Embossing. And then I think the olive green one is a really old one for my stash. Tip is to use a dry paintbrush when you are embossing. Your powder tool will keep you from getting embossing powder in many areas that you don't want it, but if you have a little bit of residue sticky on your ink pad, it might get around your image or your alpha that you're stamping. So you can just use a dry paintbrush to wipe away the powder from any area that you don't want it before you heat set it. So that's what you saw me doing there. And I love how this page turned out. It's busy. There's a lot going on, but I'll kind of walk you through my process of how I chose everything. And again, because I'm highlighting, some professional photos that we had taken, I don't really have any journaling to write. So we're really just trying to make it really pretty. So we heat set that and I'm putting everything back. So I start the first layer of each cluster with some rub-ons. So I just chose colors kind of coordinating or opposite from the words that I'm using. So for that one, I had red, so I chose green leaves as the rub-on. And so I chose a large element for each photo cluster, and then I chose one section of those little color palette swipes. I did go ahead and lay that top one, but then I decide for the rest of them, I'm going to wait to lay them until I have everything placed on the page because I don't want to put them somewhere where I'll ultimately end up covering them up. But I really love this vintage orchard collection. It has obviously some fruits in it, which is a unique take on some of the fall vibes, I feel like. And so I really love it. That's beautiful. And then I think when I unboxed it, I said, I don't love birds, but I did use a bird on this page and I do like the way that it looks. And the colors coordinated really well with the way that I wanted that cluster to look. So now I'm going in with the Chroma spray from Brutus Monroe. This is one of the exclusive products that come in the fall cherry box, along with some of this glitter glaze as well, which is in a lovely olive color. And you'll see me use that here in a moment. So I'm just putting a little bit down on my glass mat, a really tiny amount. And then I'm just going to water it down I spritz a little bit of water on it, and I use it just as I do like any other splatter or spray. And it kind of gives me like a 3D splatter and with the sparkle on it. And this is an old trick that I learned a long time ago from Missy Whitten, and I haven't used it in a really long time because I haven't had any glitter paste or anything like that. And so I was really glad to do that again. And I love sparkle, so adding a little bit, a hint of it around the page, that's my jam for sure. It did take a really long time to dry though. So just FYI, maybe you just want to save it for the last, cover up your photos, and then you can do it at the last and then set it aside to dry. That probably will be my go-to from now on. So then I pulled from the ephemera pack a bunch of layering bits. So for each, so I just kind of made a little formula. So for each photo, I chose a larger piece to back and then some type of frame in a coordinating color and pattern that was different than anything used. And then I just overlapped it and over the photo. And then for each photo, I also chose one of those little gingham tags in a different color than any of the other backing pieces that I had used. So I do go through and I put a little bit of, I decided to go ahead and start sticking down those palette rub-ons that I had set aside and not stuck down because I didn't want them to be hidden. I did use a little bit of some beautiful fuzzy yarn from my stash to add to the tops of the tags, just like really small bows. I liked that texture. You have a lot of texture with the embossing powder, so that adds a different type of texture. This one was a little hard for me to get up, especially when I have my nails done. It's a little hard, but I got in there and got that backing paper off of the rub-on. I don't know why I can't think of that word today. I'm really loving how this page comes together. So for all those alphas, I do stick them up on foam tape. I don't make you watch me do that because it was a little fiddly, but I pull off the backing and I just place them on top of the stamped images, and they give a really nice height and overlap just a bit. That's one of my tips I always say is like, make everything touch just a tiny bit, just overlap a little bit so that it seems intentional. It seems like it's meant to go there, like it was made especially just to be nestled together nicely. So next I went through the chipboard images pack and I pulled out 3 that were kind of the sketchy look. And then I also went through the laser cut dies, which are always my favorite. And I just, again, pulled out coordinating bits and nothing too similar. So if I chose a fruit as my rub-on, then I didn't want a fruit as my die cut image. If I have leaves up here, then I'll put leaves in an opposite area from the page so that nothing is too similar in its grouping, but maybe repeats throughout the page. And then I just kind of popped everything up, or for the laser cut images, I would stick down part of the image and then just kind of once it dried, tilt up the edges so it looks like the butterflies flying away or like the leaves are raised up, and then, nestle one of those chipboard pieces beneath the raised up die cut image. I'm also going through and I'm kind of making my bows on my tags look exactly how I want them, and then I'm just tacking them down with this Nuvo adhesive so that they stay in the position that I actually just want them to look like. And you see that when I just tucked behind one of those fruits. And we're going to call it a layout. I hope that you've enjoyed this clustering that I made and my phrases that I put together. And I hope you're inspired. Hop along to all of the links down below and you'll be entered for a chance to win a $25 store credit to a cherry on top. And we have a lot of awesome inspiration today from the design team. So I hope you guys play along and enter for a chance to win. I'd love it if you'd like and subscribe, and thank you guys so much for watching. I'll put the link down below for the cherry box if there's any left, and all of these awesome other goodies that I've used. Bye y'all.